Well, happy almost St. Patty's Day. Thank you for joining us live here. Again, I am Tony Jalen, joined by the wonderful, I'm looking to the screen. Oh, I gotta do this screen right here, Neil Jalen. And it's the midpoint of the year, and every year people around the world make New Year's resolutions, goals to reach their goals, to live a life that fulfills a vision that they've set for themselves. Many people are successful keeping their resolutions, while many others fail. And I'm gonna share a little interesting stat with you guys to start this out, because this is gonna be our conversation today around of like what happens when you're not on pace to hit your goals. So there was a study done in 2016, and it said that 41% of Americans who make New Year's resolutions, by the end of the year, only 9% feel they are successful in keeping them. And then an earlier study in 2007 showed that 12% of people who set resolutions are successful, even though 52% of the participants were confident of success at the beginning when they set their goals. So it's the midway point. And I don't know about you, Danielle, but I set some goals this year that some I'm on pace on, surprisingly so, and some I'm not on pace with. Uh, I think first up, we got to look at one, why aren't we on pace to hit our goals? To like what's the cause of that? And then we also got to look into what's the cost of like not pursuing those goals, because I think sometimes when we set goals, it's there's a reason why we set them, and I think sometimes those reasons, as time goes on, we forget about them. So for you, Danielle, when it comes down to like some of the goals that you set for yourself for this year, what goals do you feel that you're on pace on in particular, and what goals do you feel that you're not on pace for?
Just to clarify, you're talking about halfway point to the halfway point of the year.
That's true. That's true. That's true. I break my goals in 6 month increments.
I think that um, depending on, like, for me, my health is like an ongoing goal. So it's not like I'm at a halfway point to a halfway point for that, because it's an ongoing goal for me. So I think that as far as where I'm sitting in regards to where I want to be, I'm taking the steps that I need to in order to make that happen, and understanding that it's a daily task, not something that is just going to be one and done. So it's continually understanding each day the steps that I need to take, and reevaluating daily where I'm at and where I need to continue to move towards.
Yeah, it's interesting you say, looking at daily, because then they did this different surveys. They said that 33% of participants who failed to achieve their goals didn't keep track of their progress. Um, Another 35% actually said they had set unrealistic goals. 23% of them just plainly forgot about them. And then about 1 in 10 people said that they have too many resolutions. And I think, when I look at my goals and things that I want to do, I like to break it out in different categories and having like a vision for each category for like, health, finances, relationships, business, and personal. And then you got to ask yourself, okay, what's keeping me from achieving this vision? Like you said, like better health is a lifetime vision, so to speak. It's not a goal, it's actually a vision. So think about what goals that you need to achieve that's keeping you from achieving, and then you break it down to tasks and habits. And honestly, when I was looking at mine, man, I have my booklet here. Some of you guys have requested this booklet who are watching this live, and I think it's so important. Like I look at the month of February, right? I had a goal that I wanted to be for health wise by March 4th, and at the part of the third weekend, I was look back. Okay, why aren't I at where I'm at right now? I think sometimes that's a tough pill for people to swallow. Is that okay? I set this goal, and then we just become apathetic, like okay, well, whatever, and we just give up on it instead of digging into it. Like, why do you think people get apathetic or may not actually dig into why they're not doing what they had set out initially to do?
I think it takes work to work towards hitting your goals, and are you willing to do that work? And I think sometimes it comes down to, and what I'm trying to attain, is it realistic, and am I willing to put in the work? Is it the kind of work that I can change immediately, or is it that I'm working on a habit that needs to be changed before I can continue to work on those things? And I think until you can kind of decipher between all that, or what's holding you back from it, you're going to continue to fall into that loop of setting a goal and then not feeling like you're making progress towards it and stopping.
And that becomes the frustrating part, I think, is because we set these goals and also we do it again and we do it again and we do it again and we do it again. And it's like one of those things, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Like change is automatic, but progress is not, right? And when I was looking at my goal, for example, my health goal, I was like, how, why aren't I doing it? Like, what's like, I was more consistent in my workouts and stuff like that. But then again, there's always that other piece that we know we got to fix, but yet sometimes we're okay with not fixing. I think that's sometimes the question you got to dig into is like, you may not always get your goals, but you'll always get your standards. And for me, we had the conversation about with, you know, having volleyball practice later at night, eating later at night, and it became not just later at night on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but it became Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday thing. And I remember when I told you, I'm like, hey, I realized this because I dug into it, that I need to stop eating later at night. And I just remember it was just recently here, just on Sunday, where, I'm like, okay, what's for food? And then you basically remind me, like, well, you did have some stuff today. And I remember I got upset for a little bit for that moment. I'm like, but the truth of the matter is that's, I think, one reason why it's so important to share your goals with other people. Because I think reasons why people don't achieve their goals is one, they don't keep them in front of them. Two, they don't share with other people. And I think because of the fact we don't share it is that we know the people that care about us are else can also hold us accountable to it. And we may get upset with them. Even though we're like, wait a second, I told you that. And I get that way, right? I remember when we had a goal, I had a habit to write an article every single week on a Monday. I did it for 52 weeks straight. There was sometimes you come and ask me, well, have you got your article done yet? And subconsciously, I'm like, get off my back. But I told you it, right? And that's why it's so important to have those people around you to help you get it. So I think if you're not on pace to hit your goals, I think you got to ask yourself why you aren't on pace for it, right? Um, but what about the feeling though, in terms of, okay, you said you said it, said it, and then you don't achieve it. And I think when we get upset is when we actually have to face the reality of like, hey, we're going to be on the beach, or we want to, purchase such and such a thing. Like, how do you personally deal with that feeling then instead of just, I think for me, I get for a moment beating myself up, right? How do you deal with the feeling of when you actually look at your goals and review them because you've written them down? How do you deal with the feeling of, okay, like disappointment?
I think now what I've kind of realized with myself is understanding that wanting to hit a certain goal isn't always about hitting that goal. It's about changing parts of what I've been doing that need to be focused on first versus just not hitting that goal. And um, just listening to a podcast, like understand that, I think it was yesterday when I was walking, like understanding like I may not feel like I'm making the progress towards that goal that I need to make, but I'm making some kind of progress because I'm realizing that I need to be in that process where I'm at to grow a little bit more before I can take that next step in that evolution of being disciplined or being on that path to that goal. So like I realize like I may not see immediate results, but I think by being able to stay consistent to my process of whatever my 5 tasks are for the day, if I'm truly being consistent in those, I've now realized I did see progress. It may not be the exact progress I thought I was going to see, whether it be the scale moving or if you're making sales calls, but like you may grow in your confidence and your belief in yourself to be able to continue to do those steps every single day. And that in itself is a win, and not to discount the changes that you're making to be able to make that big change.
Yeah, I think that's important. I mean, I remember listening to a podcast with Ed Milet and James Clear. James Clear, for those of you guys who are watching, he wrote the book Atomic Habits, and it's a fantastic book if you haven't got a chance to read it yet. But in this podcast, he talks about this guy who I think he said, I'm not sure if you got a chance to listen to it yet or not, Danielle, where he lost, this guy lost 100 pounds and has kept it off for like 10 years. And one of the things this guy did initially was he went to the gym. I can't remember if it was for 2 or 5 minutes. He literally went for the gym for, was it 2 minutes?
For 2 minutes. Like you're supposed to break everything down into what you can do in 2 minutes.
Right. And so he literally went to the gym for 2 minutes and then left. And the outsider looking in goes, okay, you're not going to really get anything done by going to the gym for 2 minutes, right? However, though, he wasn't mastering the art of exercising. He was mastering the art of showing up. I think that's a lot what has to be done when it comes to your goals. Sometimes we just got to master of showing up, of getting up and doing those little things. And we don't always have to move mountains to get it done, because the truth of the matter is that a goal helps you fulfill your vision for that category of your life that you're working towards, right? And the habits, the tasks is what make those goals a reality that ultimately get you to your vision. Okay, so tracking I think is important. One of the reasons why, like I remember, probably for the first, like most of January, beginning of February, I did a good job of taking pictures every day, weighing myself every single day, and then I dropped off for some God for known reason. And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna go ahead and become Arnold Schwarzenegger after that, but it kept me on track. It kept me focused on my daily decisions. So I think, what are you doing in looking at your goals of keeping them in front of you on a daily basis? You
Are
want,
you asking what I do?
yeah. Like, because it's easy to forget. I mean, the study shows right there, like how many people don't fulfill their goals is because they don't keep them in front of them. And like, I'm not talking just thinking about them, actually like keep it in front of you.
Well, I think for me, like it helps a lot to have, like we talked about, having those little wins, being able to check stuff off. And just because I'm checking them off, reflecting like, did I give my all in that part of that task that I was checking off? Or did I just do it because I knew I needed to check it off? And I think that's really helped me the last few weeks here to understand, like looking back, like I was doing everything I needed to do, but what in that was missing, because I don't feel like I'm getting to the point that I want to be at. And it made me realize, like, sometimes it's the intensity. Sometimes I'm I am just like, okay, I need to check it off. So I did it. And it really made me realize, like, the things that I'm doing on a daily basis really matter, and how I am writing it out and checking it off and like making notes about it, so that when I get to a point where I'm doing like a big quarterly reflection, like, hey, last year at this time, what was I doing? Because I was getting all these results, like being able to compare them then, and being able to say, like, hey, this is the missing part that I wasn't doing.
You make a good point there in terms of checking things off, because I think that's a trap that we can all get caught up in. Is we do it simply just to check it off, but is that checking off, is it actually making us get uncomfortable? Is it actually making us grow? And that's the phrase that we talked about. I mean, a different podcast was. It's almost being complacency, right? It's like we're doing just enough to get by, right? And are you pushing yourself to get next level, like in gym? One of the reasons why they say to keep track of your weights is um, so you can progress, you can push more resistance on it, because it's easy to get comfortable in doing what you're doing. Now, how do you catch yourself in that then? How do you catch yourself when you're starting to get comfortable just to check things off?
For me, it was looking at, like, for talking about the gym, like looking at, I'm doing a workout, but I'm not enjoying it. So I'm doing it because that's what I'm supposed to do. Where if I'm doing a workout that I enjoy, it makes me want to work harder. It makes me want to put in the effort to accomplish it a little easier, um, than basically just checking it off. So it's um, making it enjoyable so that it's something sustainable to continue doing, not just doing it to do it.
It's interesting you say it like that because there's two schools of thought on things, right? Like some things are going to be hard, and they're hard because they make you uncomfortable. They're hard because it's not easy. And then there's other school of thought where you say like, do you enjoy or not? So like, how do you find the balance between those two? Because there's some things that I don't like doing, but I know it's necessary in order to get X or Y Z result. It could be, keeping track of my stuff, reflecting, having accountability partners. Because I think there's a balancing act between the two.
It's all about what you're going to feed your mind to do. Like, if you, I think it's a big mind shift. Like, you have to learn, if it's not going to be enjoyable to do it, you're not going to continue doing it. And that's what makes it not sustainable. And they talk about that in the Atomic Habits, is like, if it's enjoyable, it's going to be easier to do. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's simple and that's not going to challenge you. But I think that comes down to a big mind shift of it yourself. No different than doing burpees. Like, either you're going to hate burpees and do them, or you're going to love them and do them. And how you're going to get through that workout of burpees is really how you teach your mind to look at it.
You just triggered a thought. I saw something with The Rock. If you guys don't know who The Rock is, you might be laying underneath a rock. But, he was asked, like, how do you keep the motivation to work out as hard as you do and consistently that you do? I mean, you got a full plate. And he shared on his Instagram a love philosophy that helped him achieve some success over the years. And it goes to your point, Danielle. When it comes to hard work and things I'm passionate about, years ago I stopped saying I have to and start saying I get to. It was a big psychological shift in how you approach the daily grind of, he said, crap. He actually didn't say crap, he said SHIT, which we got to get done. He goes, I get to train hard and push myself to the breaking point. I get to get my ass kicked and come to the gym each day. That goes back to what your point is. If you're looking at it as like it's a mindset, and this is not just in place to this, it applies to anything in life, of how you show up in your relationships, how you show up at your job, how you show up at the gym, how you show up by your mind, your finances. Oh, I have to do this. I have to do this. It's almost like a burden versus, you know what? I get to do this. I get to be healthy. I get to spend, for a Planet Fitness membership, $25 to be healthy. So I appreciate you bringing up that point of mindset around things. Because otherwise, if we feel that we know we're not pushing ourselves like we can be, it's because it might be because of our mindset, right? It might be because of our mindset. All right, so let's shift now to, okay, we've analyzed it. Okay, here's why we're not doing it. What we can do to be better. And for those of you guys who are watching live, either via Facebook Live, Twitter, Leadership Crew website, uh, or YouTube, feel free to put in the comments. How do you go ahead and look in the accountability mirror, as David Goggins would say, when you're not doing what you're supposed to do in order to achieve the results and live the vision of your life that you've been designed to live? So we've analyzed those things. We figure out the problem, figure out the cause of it. Now what? What are some steps right now? It's still middle of March. The year's not over. Like said earlier, I thought we were at the halfway point, but in my mind, thinking halfway point is 6 months. Um, what are some steps that you're taking in terms of pursue of your different goals that you've set out for yourself for this year?
For me, like I switched up my workout. I looked at what I was doing, and I just felt like it wasn't challenging me enough to move out of that comfort zone for myself. So that's something I switched up. I also incorporated more running into my schedule, which I talked about because I'm running a marathon in October. So I added the running in there. And I think just being able to be uncomfortable in all of that is going to continue. Like, like I know this is the plan I need to follow. And if I follow it, I'm going to get results. And so, not questioning my feelings of I don't feel like doing it, I'm tired, just doing it has been a big shift. And then also, like, looking at ways to make them easier tasks to do, like setting out um, meal prep containers or setting out my running clothes and putting them on immediately, just to kind of shift some kind of a mindset, because there's something like I know I'm in control of whatever I do. So I either I'm in control of not doing it or I'm in control of doing it. And so to trigger different things in being able to do it needs to change what I've been doing in the past. So just really working on those things, like finding things for myself, because I have to do it myself. I can't have other people telling me to do it or to that are going to do it for me. Like I have to be the one that makes that decision to make those changes.
Right. I think they say there's a psychology around, it's called the question behavior effect, and which asking people about performing certain behavior influences whether they do it in the future or not. So, um, for example, exercise. Instead of declaring, saying, I will exercise, I will is a future tense, by the way. Ask yourself the question, well, will I exercise? Yes or no? Will I be more mindful of my spending? Yes or no? Will I, improve relationships? Yes or no? I think that's the important thing. Like asking, like when I have the question, it's on my board right there. What did you do today to build your health, relationships, finances, spirit, and team? Asking questions because you're listening to two voices every day, right? The voice says no, 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 or yes, 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 yes. So I think that's one thing. Ask yourself, ask a question instead of like making a declaration. The other thing for myself I do is I just make this now habit, not just reading once a day, but reading twice a day. So it's like almost becomes like an obsession around things. And the truth of the matter is, people may think you're crazy when you get so obsessed around something. That's okay, because anything worthwhile requires your attention, right? It's gonna make you push yourself. It's make you get uncomfortable. I think the other thing is to do a daily journaling. If you're not doing daily journaling, that's the thing that I'm doing again. Offer you guys all, speaking of that, just triggered my thought. Questions that you can ask yourself to improve your day, to improve your progress in achieving your goals. At the beginning of every day, ask yourself this question: what am I optimizing for? What am I optimizing for? And then during the day, ask yourself the question: what's the best small thing I can do right now? You can put it on your phone. Like I have my vision on my phone for the year, and I'm going to add this question right below on that vision screen. What's the best small thing I can do right now? There's always something that you can do. Like I said earlier, change is automatic, but progress is not. And at the end of your day, get honest with yourself. Get honest with yourself. Like you can miss one day, you can miss 2 days. Start missing more, it becomes a habit then. So here's the honest question to ask: did I do my best today? And if not, what can I do better tomorrow? So, any final thoughts, Neil, as it comes to what do you do when you're not on pace for achieving your goals?
I think the biggest thing is to remember that you are on a pace of something. You're either going to hit it or you're not. And are you doing and learning in the moment that's going to help you move forward? And if not, like, what are those little things that can be flipped, like your mindset? I think mindset's just a big thing in all of it. Um, but really, like, understanding that you're growing in some sort of way. You're understanding yourself to be able to be moving towards a goal, or you're learning that that's just not as important of a goal as you thought it was at this time.
Yeah. I think too, just reflecting is so important. Reflect, inspect, and redirect if you need to. And I'll finish off with this final thought here. Um, and it actually comes from Atomic Habits. And James Clear goes on to say, people often think it's weird to get hyped about reading one page or meditating for 1 minute or making one sales call. But the point is not to do one thing. The point is to master the habit of showing up. The truth is, a habit must be established before it can be improved. If you can't learn the basic skill of showing up, then you have little hope of mastering the finer details. Instead of trying to engineer a perfect habit from the start, do the easy thing on a more consistent basis, and then you have to standardize before you can optimize. So thank you for joining us for another rare conversation. We're back here next Tuesday, 12:01 p.m. Central Time. If you found value in today's conversation, please make sure to share this again. We're on Rare Leaders on YouTube, also on Twitter and Leadership Crew, as well as the Rare Leaders Facebook page, Facebook group. So I'm Tony Jalen, joined by the wonderful, want this right here? See how I changed that? Danilo Jalen. Thank you again for joining us. Until next week, onward and upwards.